Hello and welcome to Story X Story, the podcast by Mayamada that dives deep into stories across pop culture, brings you closer to the people who make them, plus gives you advice on creating your own. It's episode 244, and I am your co-host Nigel.
I am Tazziii, content creator, voice actor, and co-host.
We're adding to the list of things that Tazzy does, so that's cool. More on that soon. And as always, we're bringing you interesting discussions with diverse voices. And to help us out as we return to our wandering in the wasteland is content creator Jack Mullen. Jack, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm not bad, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back. So you were last with us the last time we talked about Fallout as well,
Yeah,
so people
about a
can.
year ago, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just we just typecast people and just bring them back. You like Fallout?
That's all I
Join us
watched,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, nothing since and nothing after. Just Fallout.
That's absolutely just Fallout all the time.
Cool. So yeah, no, thanks for coming back. And yeah, people can check out that episode if you haven't heard that discussion as well. And for listeners, you can subscribe to Story X Story wherever you get your podcast from. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube as well. You can also send us your feedback and questions in a variety of ways. You can chat with us in the Studio 77 Discord. New look, thanks to Tazzy. You can email us, studio77@mymatter.com, or you can chat with us on social media as well. We are at MyMatterTV on Instagram and TikTok, and at mymatter.com on Blue Sky, or at Life of a W Gamer on Instagram and TikTok, and at Tazzy on everything else. You can also head to mymatter.com to check out the brand, find out what else we do when we're not talking in your ears. We make manga and we do events as well and other bits. So check that out, mymatter.com, to discover more of the Mayamada brand. And speaking of things that we do when we are not speaking in your ears, check out the Studio 77 platform, because this is our digital platform and community where creatives at any stage can connect and grow and create together. So we are on a mission to equip generations to thrive on the creative journey. And we've made some changes. So I mentioned the Discord. We also have tweaked the format of our Studio 77 report. It is now seasonal. So each season we will do a new recording, checking in on our creative journey, and also providing a platform for others to share their progress. So this is a call out for people for the next one, which is in summer. If you're working on something and you'd like to share it, let people know what you're doing, where you're at. We are looking for guests to share what they have been working on the next Studio 77 report. So it doesn't have to be finished, could be in progress. If you want to share something, we've got slots where you can join the live stream on video, but you can also just share in a Discord and we will shout people out. Also, as part of the live streams, the Studio 77 report live streams, we set a new challenge. So each season set a new challenge. Last one we did in spring, or the current one, because we're still in spring as we record, is all about renewal. So we want to see what people have been doing to embrace the renewal theme this season. So whether it's like fresh starts, creative experiments, or you're reinventing projects that you've already been working on, you can share that with us. Use the hashtag Imagine More, share on social media, or you can post in our Discord community, and we'll shout some out when we do our next recording in the summer. So we've got a main story discussion to come, but let's get started with some of the other stories that we've been consuming recently.
There's no spoilers in this section, just honest reactions and recommendations. And we want to hear what other stories people have been reading, watching, or playing. So we'll start with our guest, Jack. Do you want to let us know?
Yeah, sure. So the main one is Resident Evil Requiem, which is obviously a big hit at the minute from Capcom, the geniuses that they are. I thought it was a delight without spoiling anything. I mean, I think everyone knows the characters that are in the game now with the reveal trailers. So it's a bit of a throwback to the Resident Evil 2 days. So it's a bit of a joining of the old way of doing things in Resident Evil and the new way of doing things, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Scared the life out of me. I'm not really like a massive horror person in games, because obviously you're sort of taking ownership of the story itself, and it can be very, very frightening. If you've got a monster coming in your face. But Resident Evil's always been a bit sort of campy and sort of B movie and a bit unserious, and it's made me feel relaxed with it, and I quite like it. So yeah, it was fabulous. unserious in all the right ways, but serious in the right ways as well. So, and that's the main thing I've been playing. I've been also, as I usually do, playing through some old Final Fantasy games for the channel we have. But it's nice to sort of look at those games I played when I was first about 10 or 11 and see them in a different light. So yeah,
Nice.
pretty much it for me.
Love that. Yeah, I'll do some quick fire ones. Arcana Academy, I mentioned it last time, but we're here again because it's amazing, and I won't go into it because otherwise we'll be here for ages. It's great. Just I'll do a whole. I love it so much. I'm just like holding on to the last few chapters because the next book doesn't come out until July, and it's too long to wait. And then I've just started back on Dan. I kind of like paused for a bit because there was just like one, like, or it was like a couple of episodes that I just like was like, ugh. And then we're going back into like, oh, it's really exciting and fun again. Frieren Beyond Journey's End. And then I watched a movie, Family Plan, on Apple TV. And on the second one of this, I'd never heard of it until I worked on it. And yeah, I was like, let me give the first one a watch, see if I like it, and then see if I can sort myself. So it was really fun. It's like an ex-government assassin or something. Is like living this family life, very regiment, very like just total family man until his past catches up on him. So it's that kind of vibe. Really fun. And then also been watching a TV series called Extraordinary, which is it's a British TV show, which is great, set in the UK, and it's about a young woman who doesn't have powers after there was like a point where everyone got powers and you get powers at a certain like once you come of age, but she doesn't have hers. And it's about her journey in this world where everyone uses their power, like powers are a part of everyone's daily life now, and everyone just feels sorry for her because she doesn't have powers, like kind of thing. It's really good, and it's just I love a good like British comedy, sci-fi kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely one to check out. I believe it is on ITVX and Disney Plus to stream. Yeah, but that's been mine. Nigel, what about yours?
So I realize I've not been watching much new. It's kind of a continuation of existing things. So I'll rattle off a few, and there's a couple to touch on. But finished season 4 of Better Call Saul. So just the regular. This show is great, but also sad. And I just feel increasing anxiety just watching this character slide into the character that or for those that have seen Breaking Bad, will already know. So you kind of know where this is going. It's just sad to see it, but just so well done. So well done. Also watching Frieren, which talked about before, like Tazzii's spoken about it on previous episodes and just now. So that's a really good anime. As I mentioned before, just very well paced and what's the word? Measured. Yeah. Well paced, measured. It's not quick, but it's meaningful, I feel, this anime. So enjoying that. And I remembered I've also been reading, you reminded me, Tazzy, I've been continuing to read Gardens of the Moon, which is a high concept fantasy epic, or some combination of those words, novel by Stephen Erickson, and part of the Malazan Book of the Fallen series, which I'm told is a very good series. And this is book 1. It's a very strong start. It's interesting to just for like, obviously we're talking about stories here and just seeing how. So it's a very complicated story. There's a lot. It's a whole world. There's a whole set of characters. There's some like magic in there, and there's characters at different levels, and having to establish all that. So what I'm seeing is the book is moving from. It's kind of like moving the lens from like this part of the world to that part. And now we're going to shift over here, and I feel like all these different factions and characters are being established. And then I can imagine as the book series continues, you're sort of building up these relationships that are going to be like tested and examined in different ways. So yeah, it's impressive to see. So it's really just getting to grips with this world that has been created, and because of the pace that I take things in, This is going to be a long journey, but excited to be on it and getting back into fantasy, which I read a lot of when I was younger, and then I don't know, the internet broke my brain, so trying to repair that damage. And then also been getting back onto Bob's Burgers. I don't need to say too much about that. It's just a fun, it's a funny show about this average, maybe just slightly less than average family who operate this.
I need to watch it. I need to get back into it.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy this show. It's just a nice kind of like, I don't know, like a snack show, and I mean that in a positive way. Just can just take that in chunks at a time.
You can dip in and dip in out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of like, and that's exactly what I've been doing. I hadn't come back to it for a while, so yeah, enjoying that. And then I've been watching, or I've watched an episode of The Simpsons, which is something I've not said in many a year. But I was listening to another podcast that mentioned the latest series is pretty good. So I'm old enough to have been there for the beginning. So I remember the first series of Simpsons, not quite when it was what was the Tracy Ullman show, and it was that sort of sketch show. Not I wasn't there for that, but at least the sort of modern day, or the more modern day thing. And you know, Simpsons is a Simpsons. It is a classic. Whatever you think about a lot of maybe the majority of seasons, the newer ones, but it is a classic. It's like redefined that genre of that sitcom family. But I feel almost like not quite aged out, but just yeah, other things came out, Family Guy, American Dad, and just the format changed in terms of what you expect. So I've come back to it, and I've seen just one episode of season 37. So just incredible to have it go on for that long. And I enjoyed it, but I think Tazzy, we were talking about this. Was it just before the weekend where it feels weird? I'm not gonna lie, it feels weird because, like I said, just watching a lot of seasons of Simpsons as it was coming out, and I've got my impression of what the Simpsons is. And this is not quite it, and I don't necessarily mean that in a sort of judgment way. It's just different. It's just a weird adjustment to make. But yeah, I enjoyed what I watched. I'll probably dip into it and see how it goes. But it's just weird. I'll just hold my hands up and say that.
I remember the last one I watched. I can't remember. It was about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's a bit more zany now. Like I remember The Simpsons used to feel like it in a way could exist in the real world. Whereas like when I watched it last, it was like there was silly things happening, like he was flying away in balloons and stuff that just couldn't happen. You know?
Yeah. So I think what happened is, like I mentioned, Family Guy, American Dad, and things like that. Maybe they veered away into that kind of zaniness. From what I saw from this one, it was a bit more of a grounded story. It was like to do with Lisa, and it was actually it was quite well. It was Lisa finding, like Marge giving Lisa clothes from the 90s, and it's being so old that it's now retro, which makes me feel old. So there's a whole thing. So it was actually a very grounded story, and yeah, Homer and Bart were on a different sort of B plot adventure. So my impression, and again, I'm just judging off one, is that maybe they've gone through that phase of trying to do what the other shows that took over were doing, and maybe coming back to a bit more grounded. And then also, I assume it's all the same voice acting, because the last time I dipped into it, like the voice actor that plays Marge, her voice wasn't the same, but it sounds okay. Yeah, I don't know if something happened there, but yeah, it's just a weird experience, like going back, and it's certainly something different, but you know, it's 37 seasons. It's gonna be different. So credit. I mean, whatever you think about it, credit to creating something that's lasted that long. It's not. That's no small feat. I would say. I would be happy if something I created lasted that long and had that impact on like literally generations of people. So I'd give credit where credit's due, even though maybe the quality hasn't always been at a level, particularly those first 8 seasons. So yeah, so it was an interesting experiment, The Simpsons. Back to that. So that is what I've been consuming. Those are the stories that we've been enjoying. Now let's get to our main story discussion. We are here for this retrospective on Fallout Season 2. So this is the post-apocalyptic drama series based on the role-playing game franchise created by Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky. The season stars Emma Purnell, Aaron Moulton, Moises Arias, Francis Turner, Kyle MacLachlan, and Walton Goggins. The season continues the story set in the wasteland of a post-nuclear America and introduced New Vegas, a major location from the video game Fallout New Vegas. So, spoiler alert, we will be digging into all the details that we've got time for. So, we haven't quite finished the show, maybe wrap that up. And then join us. I'll do a sort of a recap of the story with season 2. But before I do that, let's get into quick takes and general impressions. Start with our guests. Jack, what did you think about the story? Maybe also in comparison to season 1.
I really liked it. I really liked the second season. I think it's one of those things where I don't think it would have worked without the first season, which maybe sounds a bit silly, but I think if I discovered it, I'd have to go back and watch season 1. Whereas like a lot of older TV series, you can dip in, using the phrase we used before. But no, I thought it was a really good continuation of the first series, and I like what they've done with the characters and how they seem to keep building a world. And I don't at any point feel like it got too much for me, which was really impressive.
Yeah, no, I feel it's definitely a continuation. Yeah, so you need that that first introduction. Tazziii, what did you think about the story?
Oh, I thought it was great. Like, I really love the different characters in this. I think it really does a really good job of like, there's quite a few different characters, all with different stories kind of all connecting to this one overall arching story.
Hmm.
And I think it does it in a really good way of like showing everyone what's going on in everyone's lives, everyone's things, and like bringing it all together. And like there's so many different layers, and I'm just like, I'm now the problem that they've done is they can't not finish this.
Yeah, they've definitely set up a continuation.
Otherwise, I
Letting
will
people
write
down.
it. I will
Yeah.
start a riot because, like, I need answers, and all my answers just get answered with more questions in a good way. Like, I don't. It's not like, oh, this is so annoying. Why aren't my questions being answered? It's like the good storytelling of like, I'm hooked. I'm in. There's just enough answering, but way
Yeah,
more questions.
I like the time sort of aspect to it as well. I mean, obviously, there's a bit of a, it's told over a period of sort of 200 years in a sense, because you've got the before the apocalypse stuff and then the after the apocalypse stuff. And I think when I going into it, I thought, well, it doesn't really matter what happened before the apocalypse because that's happened. But actually, when you see flashbacks in this, finding out what people's motivations were in the past actually really contributes to what happens in the present.
Yeah, it all ties in, and like it's not really the past, because for some people it is the present. Like the past and present become
Yeah,
like
it's
kind of
blurry.
obsolete in this. There's a blurred line because of people being frozen, and like their perspective of time is shifted. And but I really love like the characters in this, and how not even just how everything is shaped. And like, because when I say characters, I kind of mean the environment as well, because I feel like the locations also have so much character in them. And it just makes me want to play a Fallout game, even though I love watching people play Fallout. Whenever I start playing Fallout, I'm like, this is just too big and too much. So I kind of want to play
Fallout Light.
I want to play Fallout the TV show
Yeah,
as a game.
yeah.
Because I want that nice linear storytelling, but with that
In this big world.
amazing universe. Yeah. But no, like, yeah. And I love there's like certain points where it's just like, I feel the video game in it
Yeah,
without it being something that you have to play video games to enjoy.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Bob. I think this is a really high quality shot. I felt that for the first season. I was surprised because I wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, I've not played much Fallout, and I wasn't sure what to expect from the show. But it's a very high quality show, and season 2 just like continues that quality level in my impression, which is no mean feat. And we've spoken about different video game adaptations that to varying degrees haven't quite maybe hit the same level consistency as the first one. I feel this has done that, but like you, Tazzy, it does need to continue because it hasn't yet told a complete story, if that's possible in a game like Fallout. But there's definitely more to get to. And then I'm very impressed with how, at least for the main protagonist, how it has deepened our understanding of their motivations and you feel just like made us care about them. Again, the kind of game it is, where it is very much open world and make your own story, for them to understand the source material, at least from my impression, again, not playing much Fallout, but understand the source material enough to make something that's true to the games, but then also understand the medium that they're telling the story in to give us characters that we can hook our emotional kind of this emotional journey to and follow, because you need that in a TV show or if it was a film as well. So yeah, it feels really high quality. So we'll get into it. I'll do a quick overview of the story for those that might need a reminder or you've not played the game as well. So this is a series that shows the aftermath of the Great War of 2077, an apocalyptic nuclear exchange between the United States and China. The series takes place in an alternate history of Earth where advances in nuclear technology after World War II led to the emergence of a retro-futuristic society and a subsequent resource war. Many survivors took refuge in fallout bunkers known as vaults, most being unaware that each vault was designed to perform sociological and psychological experiments on the vault dwellers on behalf of Vault Tech and numerous other American corporations. That sounds familiar. 219 years later, in 2296, Lucy leaves her home in Vault 33 to venture into the dangerous wasteland of a devastated Los Angeles on a quest to find her kidnapped father. Along the way, she encounters a Brotherhood of Steel squire named Maximus and a legendary ghoul bounty hunter who was once a famous actor named Cooper Howard, each having their own pasts and agendas to settle. In the second season, Lucy and Cooper travel to New Vegas, hoping to learn the truth about Vault Tech, Cooper's wife and daughter, and Lucy's father. Maximus, having been promoted in rank within the Brotherhood, becomes increasingly disillusioned with the Brotherhood's internal corruption and the conflict between his own conscience and the Order's code. This has been created by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, and writers on this are Geneva Robinson Dworet, Graham Wagner, and producers Jonathan Nolan, Lisa, Geneva Robinson Dworet, Graham Wagner, and we can find that on Prime Video with all the ads that it shows in there, or at least on my plan. So yeah, like I was saying, this is season 1 was really good, and I feel season 2 was really good. It's also interesting the way they released it. So the second season premiered on December 16th, 2025, and then they did a weekly thing. So it was coming out weekly until February 4th, 2026. So I wonder from both your perspectives, hey, I assumed it did that for the first show. I can't remember. I think I watched it all at once a bit later on, but this time I was watching it as it came out. Does that change how we view the show if anyone else watched it at the time?
Did for me. So I mean, I was the same as you, Nigel. I watched the first season in a block, so I don't know if it was released episodically.
Mm-mm.
But watching this episodically, I mean, most of the TV that when I do watch TV, I tend to do binge watch things. Watching this episode on week on week reminded me of like being a kid and sort of like watching one episode and then having a the school playground discussion over the week. Because I'd speak to my dad or I'd speak to friends about what I think is going to happen, and that was a really exciting thing actually, because it built up my anticipation for what was coming next, as opposed to I do like binging a good TV show, but I think this story, with being a far-reaching story, actually benefits from having a little bit more space between bits and bobs. So I've got really excited. I got looking forward to the next episode was great for me.
Yeah.
I didn't watch this as it came out, but I did watch it somewhat spread out. So maybe like 2 episodes at a time, 1 to 2 episodes at a time. And I think I've said this before, maybe on the podcast. I think there's some shows that you need to watch spread out, preferably a week apart. And this is definitely one of those shows, because you need to have time to think about them. And if you're binging it, you're not getting the full story, because you're not giving yourself a chance to like ponder and like think about how things are connected and like really absorb what's been given to you, you're just like straight into the next bit, and you're maybe not taking in as much. I think it's the same for any kind of like, especially shows that have like these deep conspiracy theories like mixed in, that you need that space to be like, wait a second, is like, I've just like, when you make different connections and stuff like that, and this is definitely one of them. But yeah, and I watched it in the last few weeks, so I had to like discipline myself not to watch it back to back. And then I do think if you are watching a show like this as it releases, you get that added benefit, like Jack said, where you can like sort of talk to people in between. And I think it creates a much better, more enjoyable experience of watching a show the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. The old-fashioned way. No, I agree, and I feel it does change because I think by the time I started watching it, maybe the first 3 episodes, or maybe 4 were out, and then I watched subsequent ones. So I kind of did a bit of both. Well, I didn't necessarily watch all of them back to back when I caught up, but at a measured pace, or say. And I feel it is important. And like you say, Tazzy, some shows you need to think about. And I keep bringing up Better Call Saul, which I feel is a great example of. I'm catching up on a show that's, I don't know, 2018, 2017, 2018. So all the episodes are there. I could just binge all of them. I don't tend to binge things, but what I'm doing is getting to the end of a season and then pausing before I go to the next one. So I think between season 3 and 4, I had, I don't know, like maybe a month or 2 gap before I came, and I took watched other things, but I really thought about it. And that's a show you can go and there's so much subtext, so you can go and read like the different like Reddit threads and different articles about what this character did and what that means and how that connects to Breaking Bad. That kind of thing I really enjoy, and I feel here with Fallout, that's part of the enjoyment, the experience of it is what does this mean, and why did this character do that, and how is that going to impact the relationships here. And I feel we can miss that. I'm not saying that there should be no binging. There's certainly things that you can binge, but when it's like this level of, I don't know, like prestige or stakes or just meaning in the characters, I feel it's almost like a respect thing of like really taking your time to digest rather than just wolf it down and just move on to the next. So you can put up, I don't know, here's what you missed, 16 things you missed in Fallout 2 video. Not to downplay that, because I did click on a few of those to put together these notes. Thank you for those that do that. But yeah, just enjoying the story. So I do appreciate that Amazon and others that do it are kind of mindful of actually that is a way to do it. And I'm sure for them there's a reason, keeping people on the service longer, so they keep paying it. So there's a commercial aspect to it, but I think just from a story perspective, just having that time to digest and breathe in between helps the viewing experience.
Good to experience the episode recaps as well, because obviously, like, if you watch something like a Netflix or Amazon or whatever, you can tend to skip the intro of the episode if you binge stuff. But actually, I found it really helpful to have week on week, right, what happens, especially with a story that's told over like a long, a distance with 3 or 4 different things going on at once. I was like, well, what was happening with that character? You could potentially have not seen them for 2 weeks. And actually to have that, right, this is what was going on with them, it gets it fresh in your mind. And it's something I've not really thought about since, a long time ago, like the good old days of watching TV,
Yeah, and I watch a lot of anime, and a lot of anime has recaps. But I really like how it was actually something I took note of when I was watching, is I really liked how specific they were with the recaps of like, here are the recaps that are super relevant for this episode.
Yeah.
So it caught you up to speed. And I imagine if you are watching it as it comes out, that like across the 2 weeks, that's really helpful. Also, like, life's busy. There's a lot of things going on. Like, I
There's a
want
war,
to
gas prices, it's way too high.
like, there's so many things in my brain that I'm constantly having to think about, and it's really nice just to be like, by the way, here are the relevant pieces that you need to remember. I'm just going to jog your memory on these specific ones, because that's going to benefit your enjoyment of this episode. And we'll recap other relevant bits in the next episode for that episode. And I really enjoyed that about it.
Yeah, I think you made a good point, and I think it was the last episode, Tazzy, that yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think it is reasonable to need that recap because there's so many things happening in life and in story lives that we're watching so much more content on social media, or watching so much more content just to what is happening here. I think that's a worthy thing to include. And you know what, the other thing with Fallout, and I talk about the quality because this conversation and the one we had for season one is in the context of historically live action game adaptations were known for, like the reputation was, this is going to be so far removed from the source material, made by people who don't understand or care about the source material, and are just generally low quality cash grabs. And we've seen that for many a year. And then came things like The Last of Us, which sort of changed that perception. And then Fallout is continuing now. So we've got Arcane, which super high level of quality there. And I just feel that is Borderlands notwithstanding, that is a real kind of progress that we're making with these shows. Because this is a show, like, I mean, one, the creators of the game are involved in this, so that this makes a difference. But I feel there's now an understanding of, if you're going to do this, you essentially have to, at least with all the sort of goodwill and intentions, do it right. Obviously, nothing's ever perfect and mistakes can still be made, but I feel like people are getting the message that it's got to be good because the
Yeah.
fans expect that. And the fans of the games expect it. And also the television, like, there's so much high quality television. It just audiences, whether they're into the games or not, will just won't tolerate, well, maybe in some cases they will tolerate bad things, but generally speaking, won't tolerate like just bad quality television.
Yeah, I think I've not actually watched the Last of Us TV show. I've seen bits of it, but the reason I think that particular thing works, from what I've seen, having played the game, is it's on rails. So you're telling a sort of a linear story. Where this, I think, in some ways, Fallout is more impressive, is that it is that sprawling narrative. And I think the reason it does work is because, obviously there's the people writing it are involved with the source material, but also they've kind of lent into the gamer aspect of it. The three main characters in the show, Lucy, the Ghoul, and Maximus. They are kind of like stereotypical players of a game. You've got one that's has been there for years. He's already experienced and doesn't care and just kill anything. And then you've got the very cautious character of Maximus, and then you've got Lucy in the middle that's a bit of both. And that's how people tend to play games. It's kind of those characters have become very easy to empathize with, because that's how you play games, and everyone has a spectrum of how they play games, obviously. But I think I noticed that quite a lot when I was watching, thinking they've written this around that kind of approach to things, which I think is really impressive. I think it could work for other shows if they do that in a different way.
That is a good point. There are different archetypes
Yeah.
of those three main characters. And, looking at the story itself, you do make a good point where, like, or unlike The Last of Us, which the game was quite a linear or very linear story, and you are guided through that experience, Fallout games just drop you into an open world, it's more free form. So this is what I was saying like before about wasn't sure what to expect, because how do you take a game that's inherently about make your own story and go over wherever you want, whenever you want, have your own experience, and make something that is ultimately a linear story. We are, that is television. We're seeing this sort of step by step process and have that work, and it works. So yeah, no, credit to them. And I think you're right. There's a level of impressiveness that they've been able to do that. And I mean, what do you both think about the world that's created here? So we've got this kind of desolate, depressing in some ways world that's been ravaged by nuclear war, which is, I feel that they've gone on the familiarity in a sense. I mean, we're not there. Oh, not there yet, where we are in society, but we kind of understand that, either just the threat of nuclear war and what that means, or other media stories like showing us that. I think that has helped, like adding that familiar setting. I don't know if you both felt that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, well, it's not kind of like, it is a western, isn't it? This show is sort of I know you get the cowboy nature of things, and I think the point is that regardless of what happens in the world, and everyone's always going to behave a certain way. which, that's the idea of the Western, isn't it? That you've got, the cowboy, you're always going to have a cowboy type person. You're always going to have people behaving different ways in different environments. So I think the setting, in a weird way, and this is going to sound really strange, it's kind of cozy because it is so. It's because
That
it's
does
really
sound
quite
strange.
strange to think. It is strange. Yeah. It's cozy in a way because it's so well known now. The post-apocalyptic world, your Mad Max world, your other thing that's going on. It's become so familiar in entertainment that it feels in a weird way like coming home. And it's and that sounds strange. I know, but
It's one way to describe it. I mean, I would say Fallout does have an element of coziness, but that would not be why I would say it has that element of coziness.
maybe the wrong word, but familiarity may be a slightly better word. I mean, cozy in terms of feeling like I'd be safe in that environment, no, but cozy in the sense that it feels like a very
It's like
lived
a
in and
comfort thing.
yeah,
Like
it feels,
comfort show type vibe.
yeah, in a way, yeah.
No, I get that. That's a really hard one because, okay, so I've also been watching Silo, and so that's like, I would not say a similar premise as like some people have had a discussion with, because they're two different versions of bunkers and nuclear fallout, and that's kind of where their similarity ends. But I do think we're in a time where this idea of like some kind of like, do you know what? I don't even know. Okay. What was the point I'm trying to make? So there's like different levels to this, but there's like the familiarity of it as like in media of like this, group, whatever, this, I'm just going to use the word organization is the word I'm looking for. This organization that is kind of, it has the power in the background, pulling the strings, big corporations, nuclear fallout type thing. But
Right,
also, I
right.
think it's so very relevant to, like, there's so much of this show that to today is very familiar. Like
Yeah. Maybe too familiar.
yeah, like literally as I was watching this, I was like, this is a warning, everyone,
Yeah.
warning. But like,
Not a guide.
yeah, there was one line where I was like, this, just quote this and like share this to everyone. That was it was the RoboCorp guy with the thing that attaches to the head when he was testing it out on some like random dudes in
Oh,
the
Hank.
pub. No, not Hank. Hank's Voltec.
Wait, what did you say?
Robotech.
Oh, okay, different company.
um like in the old world, in the Flash, where he was testing it, like the initial
Oh,
prototype,
Yeah.
and he
House.
says something
by his car.
by his car, yeah. And he says something like, he's talking about people vote because they
Yep.
were like watching the TV, so like, voting. He says something along the lines, "You did vote for this. You voted with your money." And I
Yes.
was like, "Hello, people, wake up!"
Yeah.
Anyway,
I remember I did the Leonardo DiCaprio point at the TV meme.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, same. And it was like, that is so relevant. Like, even the like, all these corporations are meeting up to decide the future of the United States, like of America. And I'm like, I think it's so relevant because and I think now, like, this is something that has been happening for like decades, and it's not a concept that's new for me. It's kind of the concept I was raised on, like vote with your money. But it's been happening, but I think now people are so very, very much aware of the impact of the corporations we put our faith in, right?
Yeah.
And their impact on the real world, on our daily lives, on like how we live, how much they control us. And that's like very, at the moment, people are very aware of it. And so back to my point, the long-winded point. But that's why I think this in particular is so easy to watch and understandable, even though it is in a fictional, very like way out there world, like version of the world. But these concepts like are happening here and now. Just, the result isn't death claws, maybe potentially nuclear fallout, but right now, but not death claws.
I think that the sort of it's kind of that thing, isn't it, where the good and evil exists in the human spirit, doesn't it? In this program, there isn't an out and out bad guy, and you find out you think you know who the bad guy is, and then you realize that actually someone else is pulling the strings, or someone else is pulling their strings, or someone else is pulling their strings, and it's not the sort of Star Wars way of looking at it, where you got the dark side and the light side, or the good and evil type thing. Like I say, it is in the human spirit between they've got good and evil inside them, and I think that's far more realistic than good and evil, because I don't think that that there's anyone that's totally bad. There are obviously people that are worse than others in the real world, and that's the bit that's relatable, isn't it? It's like, who's really the person that's got their finger on the button? Who's really the person playing a chess game in everyone's lives? Is something everyone can relate to, because people think they've got it sussed out, and then they realize that actually someone else is profiting from that, and someone else has got something going on there. So that's why, in a way, it is very, like you say, it's very real, in, like you say, apart from the death clause. But that would be cool though. Death clause would be a cool little thing to see in some ways, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, at the right
Well, yeah, just
distance.
before they like rip your jugular
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But
Well, it depends who they were interacting with, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it matters that much, because I'm pretty
I
sure
don't think they
they'll still be
discriminate. Yeah.
interacting with you
Yeah.
regardless.
True. Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
they didn't look too discerning from what I saw.
And I don't have a giant piece of armor, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
True.
robotized armor. Anyway, yeah, sorry, go.
Is that something we learned then in season 2 or 4? That, and again, the caveat for everything I say is, like, I'm aware and somewhat familiar with the games, but not played it. Is that there's someone behind the someone you think is is pulling the string? Because I feel we got that in this world where, because we see, like, I mean, we go to different places. It's very much got that side quest energy in this series, but
Mm.
largely it's, I would say, if anyone, Lucy and Ghoul, I presume they get the most screen time.
I think so.
It's, if I had to guess, I'd imagine they get the most screen time over this series. So we're kind of seeing their journey, and as they take this journey, they are uncovering things, as we, the audience, are uncovering things about this world. So Lucy still being the relative sort of newcomer, and then the context to the world with the Ghoul and who he used to be and what it means. And definitely through his flashbacks, we're seeing, like, oh, we're at this level. Oh, we're at this level. Oh, no, there's this person that's behind that person. So is that what we get from season 2? Like, it's really, like, deepening the layers of intrigue of this world that they've created.
I think so, and I think as well. I think that one of the themes of season 2 is that, in a way, it doesn't really matter who's pulling the strings as long as you're true to yourself. I think that's the core theme of it all.
Okay, that's
And
nice. Yeah,
each of the characters
I
go
like
through
that.
that journey, and I mean, I don't know how spoilery we're being, but like right at the end of the season, they've all pretty much come to terms with their own, the fact that they've
Yeah,
been scrambling around the way that the people that are around them, with Maximus and the Brotherhood of Steel, have been telling him to behave a certain way, and then other guys have been telling him to behave a certain way, and eventually, right at the end, he goes, "You know what? I'm going to do this for me." Lucy does the same, and the Ghoul certainly does, and it's how do you sort of resist when you don't know who's trying to manipulate you? Eventually, you realize, you know what? I'm just going to ignore all of them and do what I want.
yeah. No, that's a good point. Actually, it's good perspective. And I mean, I do like what it's added. I think that the challenge with things like this becomes, even though it's already established game and everything, but the challenge is adding more. And I wonder what you feel. I think, Tazzy, kind of touched on it. In fact, I think you both did, and it's both okay. But does bigger always mean better, in a sense? Because some of the feedback, as I was putting together the notes and seeing different perspectives, was there's a lot more going on. And with season 2, although the focus largely remains, like I said, the Ghoul, Lucy, and Maximus, all looking for those answers and eventually, like, sort of finding themselves, there are a lot more subplots, which, like I said, gives the impression of, like, side quests in games. So we get things like the flashbacks, Ghoul or Cooper's interactions with House and the whole cold fusion capsule. We get Norm, Lucy's brother, with the frozen and no longer frozen Vault-Tec employees, who he manipulates to lead them outside the vault in search of his sister. Stuff like that. Did that distract from the main story? Did
No.
it add?
I feel like they're all different threads of the same string. So it's not like these are all completely isolated, separate stories. They're all part of the same story. You're just getting the different threads. Like, Norm is uncovering what Lucy's uncovering, what is being alluded to with the one-eyed lady, eye-patch lady. Like
Death.
it's all, yeah, like they're all threads of the same string. It's all leading and building up to the same. It's the same question that all of
Yeah.
these are asking: who the hell is is in charge? What is going on? Like, who is making this happen? Like, who's caused this? So I don't like, even though it seems like they're different stories, it's not. It's just different people's perspective, different people's relation to this one story, which kind of leads it back to like the video game aspect of it. Of
Yeah.
like, this is everyone playing the same game, but we've all created a different character, and how we're interacting with the game is different. But we're all playing the same game. There's all still the same parts inside it. Just how we get to them, if we get to them, is different.
Yeah, and I think that ties in with the mechanics of it as well. I mean, again, with the we talked about the death clause, right? And to me, that there's quite good breadcrumbs in the in this, because essentially you see this in the trailer, right? You see that a suit of armor at some point is going to fight a death claw, and it's like that's coming, and you're like, well, okay, how's that going to happen? So when you see a suit of armor sat there, you don't think, oh, that's like just a bit of background. You think, well, oh, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one? So actually, all of the threads that you see, they're not just there for fan service. They're there because they're going to tie in with the main thread, which I think was really clever. And there's a few things like that. The first one, obviously, yeah, when the ghoul meets the ghoul's already seen the Deathclaw back in the olden days, and then he comes across it
So he
again.
knows what it's about.
And he knows what it's about, and he knows the only way to beat it is to get the suit of armor. And then he realizes that he's frightened, he can't occupy the suit of armor, and then he meets Maximus, who can. And you could argue that he's manipulating him to do it, but actually he's doing that kind of gaming rock paper scissors thing of, actually, this person's more skilled in fighting, I'm more skilled in being clever, and actually they team up and use each other's strengths to sort of solve a puzzle. And they get, I think there's other stuff as well. The one in, I think it's the last couple of episodes with or Norm, Lucy's brother, you hear a hint that there's this roach farm inside the building.
Yeah.
And at some point the roaches are going to come out and eat everyone.
Oh,
Like, it's
absolutely,
obvious.
yeah. You're just waiting for it.
Yeah,
You're like,
and
when, how?
that's really good storytelling, because it's not like, not just I mean, there are quite a few throwaway references to the games. I mean, I'm like you, Nigel, I've not played them that much, but so I don't necessarily see all the different little Easter eggs, but something like that, I mean, I think they are in the games, but it's not just there just to say, wink at the audience. It's there to actually set up something later. And I think that's none of it seems wasted in this series. There's nothing that's, it doesn't get brought up again, which is, by the time it gets to the last episodes, it all just makes sense and clicks into place,
Yeah.
And I just talking about like breadcrumbs that they're leaving. I'm like, they're picking up all the breadcrumbs for the next season. I'm like, oh, like I'm really excited. And I also haven't really played. I've played them a little bit. I've watched people play them, and just it gets me so well that this is like a video game series. And like, it makes you feel kind of like you could almost be holding a controller.
Yeah.
Like just enough, like highlighting like different like weapons or equipment, and you're like, oh, I want to pick that up, like before Lucy picks up like the punchy thing. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
And the way that the camera kind of like highlights it, and then you're like, I'm going to loot that.
Yeah.
And she grabs it. Like these little things. And even the nod to like the different games, like the different Fallout games. Like, I've played only a tiny, teeny bit of New Vegas. And there's one bit where I was like, oh, this feels kind of familiar. And I feel like it's because it's like taken bits from New Vegas. And also there's the other thing about like the breadcrumbing. Even if you haven't really played much of the Fallout games, you probably know that there's just like lore everywhere. Like you'll pick up like a piece of paper with something on it, or like a big one in the Fallout games is the radios.
Mm.
Like you're constantly hearing information over radio. Like if you walk past something, I think this does really well in building the world that same way, but in a linear and also like different mode of agency.
Yeah, we lose that from not playing a game and seeing it, but they do it well, and I feel, because I didn't feel like any necessarily confusion. I didn't feel like things were wasted. Everything felt interesting to me, and like you said, Tazzy, kind of tied into. I mean, I will. The caveat is that you do need season 3 to tie up some of these things. Like if it ended now, it would feel like unfinished, which because it literally is unfinished. Because I'm
Mm.
sure they're sort of planning for season 3, which, as far as I know, has got confirmed and is coming. So yeah, I think it's that kind of balance that you often have to do with long running series where, or films. Obviously Marvel have done this to varying degrees of success, where you leave the cliffhanger to get people like, oh, I want to continue investing my time in this, but then you also have to wrap up enough that feels, so you feel like you get to a natural stopping point and you feel, okay, cool, I'm good, I've got something for this. We progressed, but then also, what about this, what about that? And then it's that balance, so you don't feel cheated. And I feel they did it well. I didn't feel like it. Yeah, the number of episodes felt okay. It didn't feel like it was rushed. Like I remember when we talked about Arcane, for example. Like you could argue like maybe in Arcane they wrapped up more than they did in this season of Fallout, but that felt rushed, and it felt like, well, actually you needed another season there. Whereas Fallout is like they maybe didn't wrap up as much, but you got to a point, particularly with your main protagonist, where it's like, okay, cool, these characters have progressed enough that I feel we've been on the journey and I'm at a good point to like, cool, I see you in season 3. So I felt like they got the balance okay, but I don't know if that
Mm.
changes if you played more of the games.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I
Can't
wouldn't know.
answer that question. Yeah. but I do. I feel like because the characters got to a point, it was kind of like they got to like a level up point. You know, when you
Mm.
just level up and you're like, right, I'm gonna save the game here.
Yeah, yeah. So
This is a good
make sure you save it. Always, always save it. I'm not
good
doing that
stopping back.
again.
That's what it felt like. It did feel like a real like checkpoint moment of like, yes, there's so much more story, but if I continue, like we're gonna get into like staying up all night, 24
Yeah.
hours has gone
Yeah,
and
we've got
I've
work in the
not
morning.
eaten yeah. So it did feel like that really natural stopping point. I think what they've done is we reached a stopping point of the characters rather than the story itself. Like the story itself was so open-ended and in mystery. Like we left just before the pinnacle point of a war, like
Mm,
so in like terms of like the actual story itself, we're like super open-ended, like more questions than answers. But in terms of like where the characters were, where they were on their journey, we reached a really nice stopping point. We got Maximus and Lucy have just reunited, and
mm.
they've both just kind of like Jack said earlier, like found who they are and why they're doing things and stopped being dictated by other people. We've got the ghoul, what's his name?
Oh, Cooper.
Cooper.
Yeah, like he's just, he has answers about his family. That's been his whole thing the whole time. And he's reached a satisfying point of like, I can relax. I know my family's alive. He knew it. He knew that postcard told him everything he knew. He was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So we've reached like quite satisfying points of the characters that we've been following, even though the actual like story, the actual like what's going on in this world, we're still like more questions than answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel it serves those characters really well because, like you said, Tazzy, they get to that level up point, and we as an audience are taken on the journey. I feel with all of them, I think particularly the ghoul, at least in my opinion, the ghoul, just because we get the flashbacks as well. So there's a lot, like Walton Goggins is doing a lot in
Mm,
this because he's played multiple characters and at different stages, like sort of past and
and
present.
very
And
well. Very
yeah,
well.
yeah, and because that like the ghoul could easily be like a one note sort of shadow character. Would probably still be a cool character, but just the layers that we're seeing added as we go, where we I don't know, how you felt. Like everything, I'm like, I don't know what to think, because his perceptions, like Cooper's perceptions, are changing, and it's that interesting thing where we see who he is now, both like physically and just psychologically, and that's not the person that we saw. Like if you go back to season 1, that Cooper is not that person. So just naturally in a story, you're like, how did we get here? And then instantly you're on that ride, because I want to know, how did that character turn into that? And then we see that. But along the way, and particularly in season 2, we're just seeing like different perceptions, particularly with his family, his wife, where we don't know who to trust, and everything like that. So I feel that was really good. And I'd say Lucy as well kind of continues her, I don't know about the quote unquote real world, and I'm learning about it. And I think my personal favorite is Maximus. One, because Aaron Moulton, his facial expressions just kill me. I said this in season 1. Is like,
Yeah.
the way I don't think I've ever seen anyone on TV look so disappointed. Yeah, that expression of disappointment, he does that so well. But also him, because he's very principled, and he's principled. We see that the flashbacks and what this all means to him as a kid, and seeing he gets that scene with his family is quite like really sad, in terms of how he lost his family, and he's the last one, and what the brotherhood means to him, to be the ones that picked him up, and as a kid what that meant to him, and then as an adult seeing that basically just torn apart in a sense, as he's seeing this corruption firsthand. But he's very principled, and we see him struggle with his principles in this place that he's having to work. And I love seeing that struggle and him finally come to himself, and he gets his moment. So yeah, I feel like each of the protagonists gets really strong. The only one I'll throw in, which kind of, if I was going to pick out an issue with the series, I'd say maybe with Lucy, because I feel Lucy relearns things that I thought she got by the end of season 1. I don't know if anyone else felt that, or if that was just me.
Can you
But
give an example?
so, because Lucy's whole thing was like being naive. Like, I've been in a vault all my life. I'm out in the world. I think everyone is good. I meet the ghoul, who is way more cynical. And I felt by the end of season 1, she's definitely not like on the ghoul's level, but she got that level of cynicism. And I felt at the beginning, at least, of season 2, she kind of reverted like ever so slightly, where she was doing things, being a bit too trusting, where I thought you had learned that a bit more in by the end of season 1. It kind of caught up, but there was early in the season 2 where, yeah, she's just a bit more trusting than I thought she had.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I want to pick a hole in that, because I think Lucy, her character is that she is trusting. That's not something she I don't think she starts to trust people more at the beginning of the season. I think she's hoping she can trust people
Yeah.
more, and that is who she is. That is
Oh
who
yeah,
she
no, I
is as a
definitely get that.
person.
Yeah.
And I think she gets hopeful rather than that she's more trusting. I think she's got more of an air of a doubt in her.
I think that they had to. There was a little bit I thought with the other way with the ghoul, where he seems to get a bit worse again, because basically the two characters of Lucy and the ghoul, they are essentially the same person. Like she's very much like he
different
was.
stages.
Yeah, so she's
Yeah,
like he was when he was younger. I mean, there's in the first season when he's hesitant to, in the film, kill a character. He's you see that the sort of difference of him hundreds of years later, and he can see himself in her. And I think there's an element of like, I think she makes a comment in this season where she's like, well, what are your family going to think of you when you find them? Because, and they work really well basically by the end of the season, they both sort of get closer to the middle, where he's a lot more human and she's a lot more, not quite a ghoul, but she's a bit more cynical and willing to kill or whatever. I think the reason why at the beginning of the season they had to sort of reset that was so they could show that development a bit, because for me, I thought, and I think it was the episode 2 where the ghoul he's still eating someone, and it's like I thought he was a bit better now than that. So I get what you're saying, Nigel. It's sort of like a little bit like they had to sort of reset it in a way so they could show you the contrast later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, while we were talking about Lucy, I love her drug moment, her drug
Yeah.
addiction. I think that was like, just on so many levels, I think that was just such an excellent part to put in. Because I think they really captured like that the essence of when you use a stim in the game or any games where you use like a device or substance that helps like boost your skills for a momentary moment, and you do feel like, yep, I'm just invincible. I'm just gonna, and you're like, wow, cool. Look how well I can shoot things. Like that is literally how I
Yep.
feel when I'm playing a video game, and I get that
Yep.
whatever up.
And he says he has to explain to her like, you are addicted to drugs.
Yeah. And then like and even on the come down of like this is what it's like to then you lose your power, and or you meet a foe that even though you've taken that stim you still can't overcome that side of things. But then also the more like the more like emotional mental side of things of her doing those things in that state, and then when she comes clean she's like, oh my god, what have I done?
Yeah.
Like, who am I? What just happened? And I think it's a really like interesting thing of like I've been talking a lot to people about like who experience psychosis and being in a state of like like you don't know what you've just done or you're not in control. And so I thought that was really interesting because how they showed it to me sounds like how people have explained certain episodes that they've experienced.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, like just that kind of side of it interested me as well, of like, oh, okay, like just like what mental state was she in? Like suddenly she's like, yeah, I'm on top of the world and I can do all this. Like this doesn't matter. There's no consequences. It's almost manic. Like it's yeah. But it was
Manic
also just
and
fun
polite.
because she was still her. Like she was still like
Yeah.
pleasant and like all that surface stuff. She's still like okie dokie, but with an edge.
Yeah, definitely.
You can see how, I mean, obviously Cooper was never quite as okie dokie as she was, but you can see like the slippery slope she's on. Like you can almost see him having a similar experience. Maybe we haven't seen on screen yet, where he's gone from being nice to everyone, and then all of a sudden he takes some drugs and he goes mad, and then he just never comes back from it. Whereas he's there to bring her back from it, to not let her go too far. He's enjoying her doing it because he thinks it's hilarious, but at the same time he's like, let's not let you go too far because you don't want to end up like me, I think, is the idea under that.
Yeah, and as well, like we don't meet him before he's seen some stuff.
No.
So like even the stuff in the past, he's already gone through war. He's already been a soldier. He's already gone through that trauma. So the version of him we see, he's already suffered. He's already got some baggage. Whereas she is like fresh.
Yeah, she's fresh out the vault. Yeah.
She is as naive as they come. Like
and I do like their relationship because in the same way that, I mean, everyone, the protagonists have layers, and thinking like the ghoul particularly has layers with the flashbacks. Lucy and the ghoul's relationship has layers and is tested in the present day in this scenario. So, there's that moment where I think they hear the cries for help, and Lucy being Lucy, we have to go help. We can't just leave someone. And the ghoul's just like, yeah, we can. Which that's not a problem. Just like leave someone. I don't know them. But then she goes because that's who she is. And he goes because that's who he's become in this present day because of her. So they got, and then they obviously get into a mess. But then what's interesting about that scenario when they meet the people, and then what are those, the scorpions, the massive scorpion things, and then the ghoul gets injured, and then she leaves him. So I thought that was an interesting reversal in that scenario where they're there because of her, but then, and her niceness and just want to help everyone, but she's also picked up enough about the quote unquote real world and how she feels about him that she decides. And also, is he indestructible? Is that? Is that what I'm saying?
Relatively, yeah,
Okay,
like he's a ghoul, so
because
it's
that's the whole
not.
idea with the yeah.
Yeah, like he needs the I forgot what it's called, but like that medication to stop
Yes.
him from going completely like ghoul.
Yes. Yeah.
Feral.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty unbreakable.
So I guess she knows that, so that's in the decision. But she
Yeah,
does decide to. I'm just going to leave you suffering, and I'll come back to you later. So
yeah.
that's quite a change in her character.
I feel like though as well because she's very much like if you do wrong, then you face
Yeah.
judgment.
Golden
Like you
rule.
face a judgment, and he did literally just use someone as a human meat shield, and so I feel like she's like, "This is your timeout. This is your punishment. You're gonna like." She was kind
Got to
of
do what you got to do.
giving like to me it felt like she was given discipline. She was like,
Just,
well
yeah.
she literally did say you're gonna sit there and think about what you've
But
done.
yeah.
Like so she kind of was using it as like a way of discipline, and I don't think she would have made the same decision if she because she does like think about it for a moment. It
Mm.
does it is a struggle for her. It's not like she's like, I'm just gonna leave you here. She's like, she had to make a choice. And she's like, you can sit there and think about what you've done. So I think if he was in real danger, then she wouldn't have left him.
Right, I
But
get what you're saying. Yeah.
like
In that moment, it made sense to her how she sees the world ultimately.
yeah, and like he needed a timeout. Well, she thought he needed a timeout. Like so she was like, this is the decision
Yeah.
I'm gonna make.
I know are those moments where the characters, like Jack, you mentioned, they in a sense find themselves and struggle and sort of who they are comes out. And like I go back to Maximus with the Brotherhood. So as well as the protagonists that we mentioned, we do get some new characters and famous faces. So Kamal Nanjiani, Macaulay Culkin, that was a surprise in there. But so with the Brotherhood and Kamal Nanjiani, who plays a paladin Xander Harkness. So there's like inter brotherhood fighting. So there's different factions and they're warring over
Yeah,
who's gonna take over. And the paladin. So because again, haven't played the games, but from what I understand, the paladin is coming from the faction of we're in control here, and you guys are squabbling where you shouldn't be, and you're also leaving me out of this conversation. So he's got some power in this, and he takes a liking to Maximus. But then they find themselves in a moment where was the kid ghouls, uh, and they're both in the suit, the kid ghouls, and then I would keep saying Kamal, but yeah, his character has no thought to killing these kids. They're ghouls, but they're kids if he has to.
Yeah.
And obviously Maximus, well, one just being a human for one, but also from his background as a kid and being saved by Brotherhood, just can't. That's like his line. So then he
Yeah.
does the what's in the moment, maybe the right thing to do to save his kids, but in the context of what we've seen with the faction, the infighting, and everything, it's a very stupid thing to do. He's killed someone very important, and then what happens? So, but that's his moment. Well, his moment is at the end with the roulette table and everything. But
Oh
that's
yeah.
the start of that moment where it's like, this is who I am, and I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't have that.
It ties in with each of the three characters have like a character that tries to basically manipulate them because they think they're all
Yeah,
looking for someone to lead them, and Maximus there with the character of Harkness there, he's like, this guy's he's gonna show me the way. And of course then he gets there and he sees that
just like the
line
rest.
and he flips the table. He goes, you know what, you don't underestimate me, and kills him. And then you see a similar thing with Lucy and her father, not quite the same level, where he's manipulating her and with the ghoul, there's a few of them. Obviously, there's House, and there's also the Ron Perlman cameo of the super mutant that tries
Oh
to
yeah.
manipulate him to do what he wants him to do, and he goes, "No, I'm not doing it." Like I say, they all go through that sort of journey of I need to make my own decision in this crazy world, and that's one of the better moments. I think that flipping the table and just killing this guy that he looks up to. It's great. I mean, it completely took me by surprise. He did it. To be honest, I was rooting for him to do it,
Yeah.
but it was like a shock. It was like he actually did
Yeah.
it. There's no going back now.
I knew he was gonna do it. There was no way he was gonna let
Just
him
let
go.
No,
those kids.
I thought maybe he'd like fight him and then they'd run away and there'd be like a long running fight. I didn't realize he'd actually kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, the most shocking moment for me though, like in the moment, was Lucy punching the ghoul out the window. That got me. I was
Yeah,
like,
that.
I mean, it made sense, but it was like, wow, okay, she's just flipped the table completely because like you didn't expect. I did not expect her to be like brutal with him.
Yeah,
And,
but again, it's like that moment that they have of who am I, and I guess with Lucy and that, just like you've gone too far, and he had in that moment.
Yeah. Since we're on the topic of ghouls,
Mm.
I really want to talk about Thaddeus.
Oh, I was gonna straight from Superstore into Fallout. I love that guy.
Oh, he's so good in this role. Like,
Because it's quite
his
genuine.
yeah, and his character's been on one hell of a journey. One hell of a journey. Like, I think he's simultaneously changed the most and changed the least, and I don't know. Because he was like such a brotherhood, like diehard, and then he became a ghoul. And he was such a horrible person in season 1. And then obviously like the end of season 1 he had his turning point, and then like now he's actually a sound guy or a sound ghoul. Um, but like his whole thing is like running away, right? And then by the end of it, he's kind of done running. I mean, I don't think he's lost the running awayness. He reminds me of like a straw hat pirate, because he reminds me of like the Chopper Usopp Nami gang of like, we'll fight if we have to, but we'll run away before
That's not the
like we
first
get that
option.
way.
Yeah.
We're like, you strong people deal with this. We're gonna stay back here. Yeah, you can do all that. And then oh my god, he's just so funny though when his arm
He's
drops
great.
off.
Just he's like, oh, is that supposed to happen?
He's so good at playing that character. Oh my god, it's just so funny.
He's great.
Yeah, and like him trying to buddy up to the ghoul. He's like, so yeah, like my nose hasn't fallen off. Like he's so funny. But I think my prediction for season 3 is he's gonna team up with the mutant ghoul faction thing that's going on there. And that's gonna be his path.
Okay.
Because he's got that like mutant-y thing going on with his shoulder. That's not normal ghoul stuff. Like,
is this normal?
Even the way people look at him is like, yeah, no, that's you're cooked. Like that ain't normal. I don't know what that is, but they ain't normal. But yeah, I think his character's really funny, and I love that he kind of like grew into being a bit braver, like being able to make friends with Maximus. I love like his Maximus's complicated background, and he kind of did become a squire for realsies. Like,
oh yeah,
it's like he's found the right person to follow, isn't he? Because if you look at him compared to Maximus, he is more of a follower, and he's almost like the place that Maximus was in last season, where he's looking for that person to follow, and he just so happens to have. He's been thrown in with the Brother of Steel, and then he's thrown in with the Ghoul and Maximus, and he's like, okay, well, I'm not a leader, but I just want to follow the right people, and that's why, as you said there, it might make sense for his story to go down the path of following the Super Ghouls or mutants or whatever they're called, because he's just looking for someone to bring him along, as he realizes he's not really the leader.
Yeah, he's like incapable of being the leader, but also knows what he thinks is right. So he's like, I'm not just going to follow just anyone, but I'm going to follow someone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Maximus again has that strong sort of moral code that I feel kind of connects with the character where they are at this point in their arc, and he just has funny moments. I do like this show that it's So actually, I did want to make a point about this as I was watching it. Like it's funny moments, and he has when they kill Paladin, and then he has to take the suit and pretend to be him, and it's just like that's a funny
Oh,
sequence
his
of this.
continuous monologue that I'm like, this is in his head, right? He's just saying, and
I
he's
know
fully saying it out loud,
it's
out
like
loud.
you could do this. You got to do this. But it's funny, but it's not like I feel like Marvel, and again, not to bash on Marvel because still feel or balance great stuff. But it did get to. I hope they address it, but I've got to a point where the humor undercuts the dramatic tension,
Yeah,
but here it's quite refreshing to like, oh yeah, you can do humor and it doesn't have to undercut the the tension. You can do it in a way that isn't that, and it does it well. So there's just out and out funny moments, like when he really has to play the role, and that's funny. And then there's just again, I go back to Maximus and his expressions. Just some of his reactions to things are just funny. Lucy, even the ghoul, they all have like funny moments,
Yeah.
but it's never a distraction
I think it
to the
even
overall narrative.
it adds to it. It adds to the
yeah,
Yeah,
tension. Like his clumsiness in the suit, in the thing, like it adds to the tension. It's hilarious, but you're also
yeah.
like, oh my god,
They
you're
might
gonna
get
out
discovered.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The-
And like when his arm drops off, you're like it is hilarious because his arm just drops off, but now he can't hold the sniper. Like
Mm,
Mhm.
it adds to the tension. So like I think most of the comedic points are like they move the story along. They actually
yeah.
add to it. So
There's
it's not funny for funny's sake. It's literally like affecting what's about to happen.
Yeah, definitely. There's the line in the vault with Steph, the lady with the eye patch,
oh yeah,
and
even yes,
and
Steph. Yeah,
where I think it's the guy's marrying her, and he knows that she's like hundreds of years old,
and
and he says that
Canadian.
she's the punchline is she yeah, they don't care that she's an imposter, they don't care that she's 100 years old, but the fact she's Canadian, and that's
Yeah, oh my
that's
gosh.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Even
hilarious.
that. I mean, the whole vault thing
She's
was like
not
Yeah,
hilarious.
even American.
yeah,
She's Canadian. Oh, that was hilarious.
yeah.
Oh my god.
But that adds to the tension as well, because it's like the tension
Yeah.
there is that he knows she's evil, and he's like he's got to convince them, and he has to come up with a way to do it, and he has to do it by by saying something he knows is going to get a rise out of them, as
Yeah.
opposed to which is quite funny. So
Yeah.
And yeah, in fact, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the vault as well. I wanted to come to the visual effects as well because, and just to like highlight that. I got this from Empire magazine, and it was with one of the showrunners, Geneva Robinson Dworet, who mentioned like the use of practical effects as well as CGI, particularly for like the monsters and the death claws. And it was saying that a quote: "We do things practically whenever possible. We want things to be tactile and tangible. It was only by using puppets that are quite scary when you see them in person that things feel deeply real." And I feel with the death claws, you feel that they feel weighty and yeah, um,
Yeah.
in there. So I always like that. Again, sort of technology and particularly AI, because it's not an anti-AI thing because AI is being used in all this. There's some efficiencies that it has, but that's not to forget that like practical effects work, and it work because just as humans we just see
Yeah.
you know something's there whether versus something not being there and it's
absolutely,
CGI.
Yeah. And
So
like even with the acting side of it, it makes it so much easier for an actor to interact with a physical thing
yeah,
over like the more CGI you use, and if they're just looking at a green or a blue ball, like that's just like really hard to interact with. And the more tactile you have, and it just gives you it just as a viewer, like it looks so much better. I love practical effects. I
Mhm.
love the more like practical physical effects that are used, and in this you can tell like it's so like weighted, like you can feel the physicality of it. It's like, yes, something is
Yeah.
really there. It's so much better.
Even the costume design stuff. So obviously Lucy's got the bloodied up T-shirt that stays
Mm,
consistent. If there's continuity, she doesn't like go in the next episode and all of a sudden it's cleaned up.
yeah,
yeah.
And the same with the finger she's got that's sort of still
Oh
with the grey thing. You can still see
yeah.
that, and that's that's continuity, but it's also, it makes the world feel more lived in, because
Yeah.
and there's I think someone I read online said how, oh, the ghoul's changed his hat, but someone has a theory that he's not actually changed his hat from the white one that he had 200 years ago. It's just been dirtied up or something. That's a
Yeah.
theory potentially, that he's still wearing the same outfit. And you can see actually underneath his jacket, he's actually wearing, I think it might be a Vault-Tec thing or something. So he has been wearing the same outfit for 200 years or something. And that makes it feel lived in as well, because it makes sense. You can see the sort of literal scars he's got, as opposed to and some of that might be CG'd, but it is lived in, like the same way practical effects are.
Yeah. And like even you commented on the like Lucy's clothes, but even when she changes into the yellow dress, she's still got like a lot of the blood and splatters and stuff on
Yeah.
her, because like she thinks she has like a quick wash up, but she doesn't have like a full blown shower. Like it's not like, oh, she changed into a dress and that's suddenly she's super clean and
Sparkly
pretty.
clean. Yeah.
One of the best things I thought about that performance as well, I mean, I think a lot of it was done by the fact she kept the boots on, but she
Yeah.
dresses into this sort of like this lovely yellow dress, but her walk cycle is still exactly the same, which is, I think, a nod to the game. Of obviously, if you have a games model, then the model will walk the same no matter what outfit you put on, and that's got to be deliberate. But the performance is just like, you see her walking along, and it's like she doesn't look like she's wearing like a dainty dress. She's not acting any differently in that dress. It's just a costume swap, which I think is great.
Right.
I think there is a lot, like the grittiness of this, I think takes a nod to the games, because the games like aren't like, even when you're in character design, character creation, like you can't make like a super pretty person. Like it's like really like you have to add like a level of grit. It all has a level of grit to it. I think they've done well to like keep some of that in, but they do also have this like Hollywoodish
super
shine
good,
to it.
super good looking people. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
Even
like in the
Walton
rest of
Goggins.
it, yeah, in the rest of it, they kept like the grit everywhere else.
Yeah.
No, I get that. And we talked a bit about we touched on the vault situation going on with Steph, because that's a whole thing. I mean, there's a lot of characters sort of above ground, but there's a whole bunch below ground. I don't know, like generally speaking with the characters, and we can look at the vault, like what stood out to you there. I felt, because that felt funny, but then it was there's a weird, because there's a lot of funny moments, but it's also quite dark because we know what is happening, like in the wider context, but also in terms of like Steph and everything with her.
I think the vault felt way more ominous than
That's the
Yeah.
word.
the
Ominous,
outside
yeah.
world. Even if we didn't know what was going on, just the way it is, it's just so ominous. Like
Mhm.
like the thing with Woody, like that was so creepy and dark. And I think for me particularly, anything that's like it goes so far into like we're perfect and everything is
Mhm.
great, nothing goes wrong here. The creepier something is to me, like that whole
Yeah.
picture perfect, I'm like creepy. That like creeps me out. That works very well on me as a creepy tactic. But also the actor Zach Cherry, who plays Woody, I swear he just plays the same character. I'm watching Severance and I'm like, this is
How is
literally the
it?
same character. There is no difference between either of these characters.
Brilliant.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, he plays it well.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
well. Great.
I think that maybe when I used the word cozy before, I think that's kind of what I was getting at, was that actually this horrible, terrible, threatening, unsafe world feels somewhat safer than the prison that is the vaults. I mean, obviously, when you first see the vault, it's seen like a bit of a paradise, but actually, it is a prison. And there's that
Yeah.
sort of mental side of it as well, where everyone that's in the vault is lying to themselves about the world, because they may not know what's outside, but some of them are quite comfortable with not caring what's outside because they're happy in their own little small world. And yeah, adding the threat, like Tazzy just said, of like everyone's too nice. It just makes it just seem like a horror film, which it is in a sense.
Yeah. I think some of them just don't have the cognitive
Mm.
capacity to know that there is
They
more
don't know any
going
better.
on.
Yeah.
Like some of them are genuinely just not that intelligent.
Yeah.
And then you've
Like the
got
whole
people
situation with the
like,
club and the budget
oh
for
god,
that. That's just like so it's meaningless, but it points to like what you're saying, like the people just don't know it. This is the most important thing to them.
yeah. And like you got some that are a bit more smart. Like I actually like that Chet is kind of the quite stereotypical like Chad guy,
Mm.
but he's not though. Like
Yeah.
they kind of subverse the stereotype there. Like he seems like he is, but he's actually kind of a good guy.
Yeah.
Kind of a chill guy. Like quite like Chet.
With the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not his.
It's not his, and he's like, "It's not my baby. We're not getting married. What are you talking about?" Like, poor guy just gets dragged into all this stuff. That he's like, "I don't want to do this." And yeah, and I quite like how they've done that and how they've had the characters in there, sort of like catch on, and that we've got the two different vaults going on, where like we've got is it Betty and like so Betty and Steph were both part of Vault Tech. They're both obviously overseers from 31, been frozen and defrosted when it's suitable. But like Betty's lived in this place. She's spent way more time here, and she's at a point where she's actually like, this is over. Like I just want them to be safe and happy. Whereas Steph is like gone through some stuff.
Yeah.
And
And we
it's
get some
like,
of her backstory as well.
yeah, and it's kind of like, no, I must survive at the cost of everyone else. Like I feel like she doesn't feel like she's surviving unless everyone else is suffering.
So she's surviving over someone else. That's what that, what
Yeah,
that means.
like she could quite easily just do what Betty's done and be like, yeah, we actually can just like live out a nice life here. But she's like, no, I need that pit boy. I'm gonna I'm gonna move to the next phase, whatever that is. But it doesn't sound great. I imagine
Phase
it's
two.
awful.
Yeah. everyone else is in on, and we don't know exactly what's going on yet.
Yeah, so like that was, and like it was so interesting that like it was like that Steph was Hank's wife in the before. Like
Yeah.
that was some wild storytelling there. I was not expecting any of that. I had not even the slightest inkling. Not even the, oh, I see how that could have been. Nope.
Nope.
I was 100% thrown off by that.
Does that mean that the baby could be Hank's, or was that in season 1? Was it someone else's?
Oh.
Because I thought maybe the baby, that obviously it's her baby, but because she was pregnant in season 1, I don't know whether they actually specific, because it could be that it's Hank's baby, and if it is Hank's baby, it could be related to Lucy and Norm potentially. So there may be a point of contention there.
What's going on with their mum as
Situation,
well. It's all so crazy. I just need a season 3.
So again, season 3 answering those questions. One character I did want to just make sure we touch on is Barbara.
Yeah.
Cooper's pre-war wife.
Oh,
because she
yeah.
goes through. I mean, or we go through different levels of perception for her. From the first season where we think like she's the enemy because she did this, but now it's like that scene in the lift or elevator, if you're American, where the guy just rolls up on her and is like, yeah, I'm pulling the strings here. You're going back to that analogy, and like you're going to do this. And it's like, oh, you're going against what you actually want to do, and it's not like that. But Cooper still thinks that, and that was a whole kind of roller coaster of emotions. Yeah.
And as well, like there's this whole thing of, because Barb says it, and then Robert RoboCorp guy says it.
House.
Yeah, I'm not the worst. What is it? There's this very specific line they both say. I'm not the worst person. There's someone worse out there, or something along that. But they say the exact same line. Though when Barb says it, I'm kind of like, yeah, you've kind of been coerced into this situation. Like you are a puppet.
Because we know who's above her. When he says it,
when he
we don't
says
know what's above him.
we don't know it was above him, and also he's not being directly puppeteered by them. Like, he still has a choice. Like,
Right. Yeah.
he's opposing them, but his opposition isn't for the people, it's for himself.
Yeah.
So, like, when he says it, I'm like, yes, there's someone worse than you, but you're also really,
Really bad.
really, really bad. When Barb says it, you're just trying to kind of like survive. You're like, you don't know, you don't have like, you have no idea. You're like, what am I meant to do here? Like, how am I meant to survive, and how are we meant to make sure our daughter like lives and is safe? Like, whereas, yeah, like, so it's just the same thing being said, but with two different weights because of the position of the characters.
I warmed to Barb a lot more in this season because of I think what I mentioned at the beginning of the episode about how you learn more about her because of her motivation there. Because when the scene you have of her first season where she says, "Let's drop the nukes ourselves," then when the ghoul wants to find his family, you think, well, he really just wants to find his daughter because that's unforgivable from his wife. But then you realize actually someone's pulling her strings, and then if it would be different. It may be different if she hadn't been threatened or something. So
Yeah.
actually, and I think at the beginning of the very first scene of the series where I think it's hinted at that he's separated from his wife, but you get the impression that he's separated from his wife because they've had a fallout because she's evil. But actually, at the end of this season, you see that he's made it seem that way, and he actually does. They're in cahoots and they're playing a game, which is brilliant. Yeah, really good.
For
So I
sure.
want him to find Barb now. Before I wanted him to find his daughter. I didn't really care about her. I was like, whatever. But now I'm like, no, I want him to find both of them because like they're victims as well.
Yeah, now I'm like, I love the fact that they're both conspiring. Because before it was like he was just, and I didn't like the idea, and then now I'm like, no, they are in love. They do.
Yeah.
They are both good people.
Yeah,
and they've got
absolutely.
this whole conspiring together, and I'm like, how did they manage to conspire together? Like, and they've got this whole plan, and like, they're just my favorite couple now.
It gives you hope because it's sad just watching what you thought like was this woman sort of giving into the worst instinct of that capitalistic sort of
she
planning.
seemed so evil, and they really twisted that round.
That was really good. So, and it's I was going to say it's a short season. I don't think that's actually accurate. I mean, there's 8 episodes, but it uses the time it has to tell the story. And again, as we're expecting the season 3 to continue and wrap up on some of the threads that it's left, I wonder if there's any. I was going to say favorite. Any memorable episodes or moments from episodes for you both. I mean, I did like the. I mean, there's so much that I liked, but when Lucy kind of met up with her father, because that was the whole thing, right? Driving, from from season like episode 1 or season 1, right? That was it. That was go get her father back, and then she met him, and she's not the person she was when she left, and he's not the person she thought she was. But again, like the others have their moment of like, what are my morals and who am I going to be? She I guess does the kind of like Lucy thing of like, I'm bringing you to justice. That was funny. But then in that moment when they meet and we see he's been doing the experiments with that mind control device and it going wrong and what happens when it goes wrong, I thought that was a good tension builder where they show you, from the early days of House using it on those two like thugs, so what happens when it goes wrong, and then repeatedly like Hank doing it again. So then when he gets it working, there's that tension where we're kind of expecting the heads to explode, and it doesn't. It's like, it's like almost like a relief moment.
So good because they even pan the camera away in the same way that they've done for that
the
whole
previous
sequence,
ones.
and then it doesn't come, and you're like, wait, what? And then we go to it, and it's even with that like that traveling merchant guy that we've seen throughout season 1 and 2. So that was really fun.
And then so that part of it was really cool. But with Lucy again testing morals, where she comes to a point where she has to decide, is this a way to go? Because she's faced with a situation, and it's great for like storytelling. So when you're putting together a story and you're giving a character a choice, the choice between right and wrong, whatever that means for the character or even for the audience, is not an interesting choice. It's an easy choice because you choose the right one, whatever that means for the character. The interesting choice is like, like bad and worse. So for Lucy, she's faced with a situation where she can see these two characters, they're beating up on each other, and she can't stop it. Like no one can stop it, but someone can stop it. But it means giving into this mind control she does not agree with.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. So she's got to decide, like, actually, is this the lesser option of different evil? So I really like that moment. She's got to have the discussion with her dad,
Yeah.
and again, like the other, she ultimately chooses I'm going to do, not even I'm going to do whatever I want, but I'm going to go with my moral code and stick with that,
Mhm.
whatever the
And
consequences may be.
that's quite an interesting one that you brought up as well, because that just continues to challenge her. Because then when she does decide, like, no, we need to destroy the mainframe, she finds out that the mainframe is actually like connected to a living human head. Living question mark.
Yeah.
And then she's again is struck with that moral challenge of now she's got to kill someone again. She's like, I'm done with killing. I don't want to kill anyone. But
Yeah.
she's kind
I
of
I
like a
like
weird thing.
I like the ghoul when he rescues Lucy in the last episode. How he kills the guy that's gonna, because obviously Hank's gonna put the device in her head, turn her into a a robot or whatever, and
Oh
then
yeah.
he saves her, but he doesn't kill Hank. He obviously says he wants to.
Yeah, because
He
that's
just
for
shoots.
her.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that he's actually giving her, because earlier in the series when he goes, what are you going to do when you find your dad? She's like, oh, I'm going to bring him to justice, and he's just like, oh yeah, whatever, just kill him.
Mm,
But I don't think he says that, but that's the inference that, he doesn't really believe in it. But then he gets to that point where he meets her again and he lets her have the choice. It's like, it's up to you, pretty much, which I think is brilliant. That's a good moment, obviously, especially considering the fact that, I think they're on an even footing now. I mean, obviously, she kind of left him for dead. They leave each other for dead a few times. And I think
yeah.
now the tension's gone there, where they sort of like, they're even now. And also the moment with, I think you alluded to before, Nigel, with Maximus getting out of the suit and picking the spear up, like going for broke and being like, I'm going to fight this big monster on my own, was especially with the sort of little flashback where you see a split second of him seeing the suit of armor in front of him, and then he remembers how he is as a kid, and I think his dad says to him, "You're going to be a good man one day," and it's just like goosebumps of, oh my god, like this guy doesn't care, he's just going to do the right thing, and even if it kills him. And it makes that moment straight after it where with the New California Republic turn up and save the day that much better, because obviously that scene, I mean, I saw online people were saying about that shot of the gun coming out is the opening scene for New Vegas, and people were like wetting themselves over how it was an homage to the game. But I think it made it that much more impactful that it undercut that moment. It was a payoff because they'd helped out the New California Republic before. If they hadn't have done that, then they wouldn't have saved him. So those for me, they're the two standout moments, I think, really.
I think for me, there's one which we haven't really touched on Norm's kind of bits
Yeah, well, yeah,
of
that's the
the
whole thing.
story
Yeah,
as
yeah.
much, but Norm's with the woman who's only been with the company for like 2 weeks
Oh, yeah,
before
she just started
the fallout,
200 years
obviously.
ago, and
Yeah.
and last week, 200 years ago.
Yeah. And there's the moment that they have when he's at the computer and he's finding out that there's like some kind of experiment happening with the vault, and like their connection, the start of their connection. I thought that was kind of like a really fun moment. And again with the roaches.
Oh, the mad
when
roaches. That was
when
crazy. Yeah.
when he doesn't get let in the room, but then the roaches go to the room
Go
because
in the
there's
room, yeah.
more to eat there, and he hides under a table, and then they get mothered. And I was there, and I was like, I can't remember what the girl's name was. Like not Chloe,
Claudia, I think it is.
Claudia,
Claudia, I
Claudia
think.
or Claudette. Yeah, and I was like, no, please tell me she survived. And he goes in
Mm,
there, and she is just holding on to dear life somehow. And
yeah.
that made
You
me
wanted that
really
to happen.
happy. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to see where like Norm's story goes. I feel like we're gonna see more of Norm in
Yeah.
season 2
Oh,
and
for
less of
sure.
Lucy.
Oh, you think less of Lucy? Okay.
Yeah. I think I think the focus is gonna shift,
Right. Oh,
Hmm.
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
and we're gonna see more of those secondary threads.
Yeah, I think so.
are gonna take on the like more of the primary lead of the next season. I don't think it means we're not gonna see like Lucy and the
Yeah, no,
Ghoul.
I
I
get what you
think
mean.
we're just the focus is just going
Yeah,
to
I think you're right. I think, if you follow the, talking about another series, talking about like Game of Thrones, which was, notorious for
Oh
bringing
yeah,
in secondary characters. I mean, obviously that series killed everyone, but this
yeah.
this is very
Everyone
good
all the time.
at dropping in a secondary character and making them a more, like you said that with Thaddeus as well. Like, I think if you look at the Ghoul's story, like there's only so many times they can have him nearly find, the apprentice is in another castle. He found you. My
Yeah.
family's here. Oh, he's not here. It's like if they start doing that for too many more seasons, it's going to get
Yeah, no, of
a
course,
bit
yeah,
old.
yeah.
So I think they
Yeah.
probably do have to. I think I read somewhere that they said the optimal run is 6 seasons or something that they've said. So I think
That
you're right.
sounds about right, yeah.
They're going to have to sort of start bigging up some of the sort of secondary characters, because the natural storyline of these characters isn't. They'd have to keep resetting it, I think, unless they sort of go with a clever way of changing things
Okay,
up a bit. So
that's good.
I think it works with the whole like this thing that I mentioned earlier, that we're seeing multiple threads of the same string, and that we need, if you're pulling too much tension on one thread, or like, then you won't get a nice rope. And so you
Yeah.
need to like you
Need
need
all
to
the threads.
evenly weave those threads to get
And
the full story.
Just
what
like
is
a
the
jumper.
tension? What is the tension between the three mains at the moment? And obviously the Ghoul and Lucy are on equal footing. He's done that, tipping his hat to her. He's done the same with Maximus, and now Maximus and Lucy are together. So there's no actual tension between them.
Attention, right, yeah.
So there has to be tension between them and someone else, I think, because
There you
the
go.
Ghoul's in a different place than both of them. So yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think it will be a good sign if they shift the focus, and I think
Yeah.
the audience will allow it more than, because Last of Us is going to run into an issue when they shift the focus there. That's going to be a problem. But I think for this game, people will accept it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give a little nod to just speaking of Norm, the guy, the dweller, the now unfrozen dweller, who comes up to him and is like, "Yeah, phase 2, yeah."
He's
You
just
ready
like,
for that? And he's just like, "Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, I'm
yeah.
on it." And I've just felt for me that moment. I've been in that situation where, not like that, but just where someone's like, "Yeah, yeah, that thing, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that thing. Let me work out what that thing was
Yeah.
and why you're so excited about it." So, oh yeah, that's it. That's why. But I think you, Jack, you kind of really touched on, because I was going to bring up some themes from the game and how it sort of maps, but I feel you touched on the kind of the core thing for this in terms of people being challenged and trying to be manipulated, and sort of or not even reverting, but like discovering like, this is who I am, and really sticking by that. I quite like that, and I'll throw in some other ones in terms of, again, taking adapting the game, and the game's themes about like war never changing. So just, it's interesting and funny in a sad way to see, how much has changed, society has changed, culture changes, but just war is a is a fact of life for humanity. Maybe that's just who we are. But also survival. We get like, people finding a way to survive throughout this new world. And what I felt was interesting in a and funny in an actual funny way is like history repeating itself. And there's this quote, I don't know who this is attributed to, but quote was like, history repeats itself, first as a tragedy, second as a farce. Look that up and find out who that is. But we see that here. So like the culture here is, I mean, it's already like retro futuristic, but then you've got this nuclear war that set things back. But then you get like different groups taking on characteristics of old cultures. So like the new California Republic is, based off the United States, trying to reclaim that. The Enclave being like descendants from the US government. The funny ones, the Caesars or Kaisers Legion, like modeled on that Roman Empire, which I can see like is going to play a big role in season 3. And then with the Vegas theme is just the idea of rigging the game. And I feel as we learn about the layers of manipulation and the person behind the person behind the person kind of situation, we see like this is all kind of rigged, or at least in the sense of like people controlling others to try and impact like the situation they want. So yeah, I feel again, not having played too much the game, but the themes are carried over quite well, and just again a testament to understanding the different mediums and how to reflect them. I don't know what everyone else thought about how well the themes are reflected here.
I think one you touched upon there and earlier as well, which you sort of mentioned there, was the theme of lesser of two evils. So obviously, like in the game, I think Tazziii mentioned this before, that you can kind of choose the things you do. You can, like, you choose to be part of the California Republic. You can choose to be part of the Legion, that sort of stuff, which I'm not that familiar with. But I think there's a line that Lucy says to her dad where she says something about where he's like, "Oh, everyone's as bad as each other, and treats everyone the same way." And I think she says something like, "One of them is like it takes slaves and crucifies people. The other one's just mildly problematic." And I think that's something that's a that ties in with that, making a choice between whether you're going with the goodies or the baddies, whatever, but also reflects the real life sentiment of, sometimes you've got to sort of muck in with people you don't necessarily agree with if you want to survive. So that's, I mean, that's sort of, I hope it answers your question, but I think that, it ties in with the game mechanic of being able to pick who you think the good people are, but also ties in with that theme of, there being lesser of two evils, or the worser of two evils, or whatever the phrase would be. So
Okay.
And like, because the Fallout games kind of like your choices kind of fall on that, like the morality alignment chart that's
yeah,
like the lawful good, neutral good,
Yeah.
chaotic good, lawful neutral, true neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil, no, chaotic evil. So, and I think the show does a really good job of like pointing out like showing those different alignments. And there are points where I feel like the dialogue choice, like I can almost see it. I can almost see it on screen and see
definitely.
which one Lucy chooses or Maximus chooses. Like, yeah. And like back to your point on the that you said earlier about the character, like types of characters that play. And that really comes out in it as well.
Yeah, no, that was a good point. That was a good
To
point.
like highlight that theme, yeah.
Yeah. Which character would you guys be?
None of the above.
Yeah.
Like I have such a chaotic play style because like at some points I'm Lucy, at some points I'm the Ghoul, at some points I'm Maximus, and I'm always like, right, I'm gonna go into the game playing this way, and then my mood will change.
Right.
And I'm like, blow it all up.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that for me. But I think for me, I hate struggling, so I tend to like spend a long time leveling up. So I think in a way the Ghoul, but I think someone made a comment I saw online which said that at the end of season 1, the Ghoul had been like side questing for 200 years, and now he's getting on with the main story. That's kind of me,
Yeah,
because it's like I've learned I've got the best guns, I've got the best everything, so I can just walk through the game at a leisurely pace. That's probably the relation I have with any of them. But I think in a way, other than that, I'm the same as Tazziii, where it depends on the situation.
I'd say I'd probably start off as Lucy, but then I'd revert into Maximus and just be like, I'd blow something up just because, like, no, this is how it should be. Just kill some random person because of it.
I'm probably somewhere similar to you, Nigel. Whereas I'm like, I start with Lucy. I always try and do like the persuasive dialogue.
Yeah.
And then I'm like not in the mood to read. So I'm like, I'll just hit him over the head with this giant like powered hammer thing.
Yeah.
And that solves all my issues.
Oh man.
And now I'm just gonna kill everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's the right thing to do, and that's what's important. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things in this series, and I think we're all looking forward to season 3. I think just because of the quality of it, but also like narratively, there's stuff that are left that still needs developing and resolving. And I imagine if you're saying like 6 is the optimum seasons, I'm looking forward to it, because if they keep the quality going, is really good. Sure, I feel like this is what I was going to say, is this the best in terms of just like quality, consistency, best video game adaptation
So
series?
far, I would say it's definitely up there so far, but it's still got a ways to go. So that's just not cursing.
Okay. Let's let it do what it needs to do. So, but yeah, no, we're here for it. So that is our discussion on Fallout season 2. So I'm sure we'll be back for season 3 whenever that is going to happen. I don't know what the timeline is on that. That's it. Let us know what you think. Let us know if this is one of your favorite video game adaptations. The quality is getting better. I think it's good. Just overall, seeing where the standard is getting to. Let us know what you think. If you've also played the game, because that perspective is interesting as well. But yeah, that's it for our retrospective. Before we wrap up for this episode, let's check in with our guests and find out what they've got going on.
So we'd love to hear what any latest news or interesting projects that you've got going on, Jack.
So my interesting projects are over on EXP Required on YouTube. Me and my friend Mole have a podcast where we talk about Final Fantasy and other things. So Final Fantasy is kind of our home, but we do talk to gaming actors, YouTubers, and people just about games and their relationship with them, really. And we also make some more short and long form content. We've sort of taken a bit of a step back to sort of focus on sort of quality over quantity. We were going for something like every 3 weeks we were releasing something, whereas now we're spending some time and really trying to find something that other people haven't talked about. So I've spent a lot of time digging into the card games in Final Fantasy, which are a game within a game. So that sort of thing we're focusing on now. So yeah, that's really the projects I've got going on at the moment. So
yeah, and also like where can people find it online? What's the
so EXP Required is the YouTube channel. It's also it could be EXP podcast depending on the handle of the place you're on. And I can be found most places as Jackie Boy 34. I'm still just about on Twitter at Jack Mullen 8, but only for like messaging people, nothing else really. But no, everywhere else I'm Jackie Boy 34. So you can see the occasional comments I make about a game or something as it comes out, an occasional joke I might make that's probably not really funny. But yeah, that links to all the stuff I was talking about there as well. So
brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us again on another retrospective.
Thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate people spending the time with us and just talking stories with us. So look forward to having you on again sometime, and hopefully people enjoyed the conversation. If you did, don't forget that the Story X Story podcast is one of the many shows that we host on our Studio 77 platform. Got different shows, chatting with creative professionals in different ways, and also playing some games for your amusement. So we have a variety of shows each month we've got different shows going on, whether it's the Studio 77 report, casual conversations with comic creators, and games night as well. So make sure you are following Maya Mada on Twitch and YouTube as well to catch us when we go live. Sometimes I do the notification, most of the times I actually forget, so I need to work on that for this year. But follow us there, you'll get a notification when we do go live. And if you're a young aspiring creative professional or you know of one, then check out the My Matter Showrunners Work Experience program. So for the past few years, we have been creating opportunities for young people aged 16 and up to work with our team across comic production, events, and content creation. And actually, as we record today, we've got a group, we're doing a specific training program with a group around events and media as well. So they'll be joining us at Comic-Con and some other bits in between. So yeah, looking forward to that and some other things in the works as well. So showrunners at myamada.com to find out more about that, and send your creatives our way. And if you enjoyed this episode of Story X Story, then make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a future episode and future retrospective or deep dive. Also, give us a 5-star rating and review, because that helps us reach new listeners and fans of story discussions. And thank you to those that have done that so far. And as for the podcast, we do release episodes on Thursday weekly. Those include video game discussions, interviews with creative practitioners, and deep dives into stories across pop culture. You can always give us a shout directly. Our email address is studio77@myamada.com, and our website with links to subscribe is myamada.com/StoryXStory. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe. And remember, we have now discovered another nuclear material. We've got uranium, plutonium, thorium, and the element of coziness. So thank you for joining us on this discovery. Take care, everyone.